I uninstalled all scrolling apps from my phone for many days. Hours into day one, I found myself at the fork in the road where patterns break by revealing their own impulses. It all started on a sick day. It all started on a sick day. Have you ever had a sick day? It all started on a sick day. Have you ever had a sick day and noticed it was pretty easy to spend the whole time laying down staring at your phone for the entire day? I reached for my phone and repeat a thumb movement, queuing for pictures, information, and any release of visual, auditory, and cognitive distraction. And so many gaps in my living existence, I seem to fill them with this activity. Traffic lights, waiting in line, going to the bathroom, and I confess, even while riding my bike. Who among us hasn't glanced at their phone while driving? Between sets at the gym, when I wake up in bed, and when I go to sleep. Scrolling. Instead, for these few weeks, I reached for books. The impulse to be fed entertainment and stimulation is there, and I sought the elder escape from reality. Books. It feels somewhat virtuous to read books instead of mindlessly scrolling on a phone. Scrolling social media is designed to be so passively easy. Life and living have appeared to become interruptions of interfacing with our algorithm and what it has to feed us. A back and forth feedback loop of media and data. And it's so interesting that no two feeds on earth match. Yours is yours and yours alone. I passively pass over imprints of people I used to know and people I will never meet and look at a slice of their real life, their real thoughts, and pictures of them doing real things as it is cast onto the digital shadowland in the palm of my hand. Just like when I stopped taking amphetamines, I was unaware of the severity of my attachment until I broke away. Now, without the constant feed of my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and whatever other feed I am fed, all I really get are texts from my wife. The next best thing to being with her. Without it being intentional, I realized I just stopped listening to podcasts as well. I listen to music, or even my own thoughts. Found myself even scrolling Venmo after sending a payment, curious about other people sending each other money and trying to decode their transactions through the attached emoji. So much this phone feeds the human desire for curiosity. I had to erase Goodreads a few days in as well, as I was obsessively reading book reviews and curiously examining the reading habits of angry reviewers. I still had the phone itself, and I wasn't extremely militant about my use. And in the future would like to experiment with a dumb phone, or perhaps being left on a desert island with nothing but a hatchet. I was diagnosed ADD, and it seems anything I do that is beneficial or related to my life is also for my supposed ADD. This departure was good for my attention, and it seems like the media activities we do in the dugout of our lives have a way of priming our attention span. Looking at 10,000 memes and ideas every morning divides my attention into 10,000 little spaces, asking for 10,000 things to fill it. Tuning away from the feed tubes, there were maybe like 12 things. I'm being hyperbolic. In the beginning, I sent a few cartoons to friends over text to get some feedback that we both exist, and sharing a sense of humor brings us together. I even looked at literature memes as I dove deeper and deeper into reading. I needed memes. Phones isolate us in a stimulating way that could simultaneously bring us together. Then, being without the phone, I couldn't help but feel like I stayed static as the world kept spinning, despite being more present in my body and actions. It's like the phone pushes us apart physically while connecting us more intricately with numerous, weak digital threads. This is more than a place to communicate. It has become a shadow environment of our world. It has grown intentions of shaping and controlling the public perceptions, thoughts, and consensuses. These influences have proven they are capable of directing the final frontier of control: behavior. Social media is probably making people less intelligent, more divided, and played like a damn fiddle. But somehow I think my awareness of this happened grants me immunity from it. But I enjoy knowing what my friends are up to. I enjoy being able to send them memes. I enjoy memes. Before this fast, I easily inhaled like 100 memes a day through my opened eyes. Those are valuable chuckles. This must be good for my heart, right? Plus, I need social media to promote my coming book, Hocus Focus, Coming of Age with ADD and Its Medicines, now available for pre-order. Check the link in the description. Can I garner a healthier relationship with social media without becoming some kind of analog hermit? How should I return from this sabbatical? In preparing for this essay, I'm already almost through the Odyssey, and I don't want to lose interest. What was that? That was a footnote. They're going to be in this video. They're footnotes. Don't think about it too much. They'll mostly be at the end of the video. You probably don't want to skip to them, although the time codes are below, but I don't want to lose interest. Is it futile to resist? Is social media a problem, or am I just too impulsive? Am I the problem? Is it just a tool like a hammer that can both build and destroy, but I stare at this silly thing so often that it's hard to regulate? After becoming an addict once in my life, am I forever burdened to latch on and latch off of dopamine-giving activities? Will I now just cling to literature? What is a healthy and productive way to interface with social media? Should I say every day I get 30 minutes? I challenge you to look at your phone's log of your use and bear witness to how often you look. Maybe you're better, but for me, I've been shocked by the reality of how often I look at this glass computer. It's so easy to slip into, and it feels good to be without it and not feel like something is lacking. But good things slip in. Genuine communications are formed, beautiful ideas expressed, and actual human growth can be catalyzed, likely while corroding some aspect of social human nature. However, there is no turning back. That's why you and I are together right now on the internet. But I would advise myself to consciously sculpt and curate my media diet in a way that doesn't exploit weaknesses. Don't let it prey upon my impulsivity. It can't replace reality, it can only represent it. Again, like valuable tools, and skilled hands can create beautiful, meaningful expressions, handled recklessly, destructive to both the user and the environment they operate in. There are rules to posting, not just about content and words and things pertaining to censorship. There are unspoken rules of the feed. I've noticed by bending them. Doing so results in a strange sort of quiet and polite exile. I have experienced this consequence. Meta-analyzing the phenomenon of what even are we doing here is perceived as contrived and annoying, but when I lose some kind of inhibition, I just can't help myself. I get lost in the idea that we're so invested in the discourse simulation that we lose touch with the intended point of conversation, and while I may think the dissonance is mutual, I may be outing myself as confused and lost. Bringing it up holds whatever thing I'm commenting on hostage. To say anything to me would mean they are also confused and lost, and whenever I have become this babbling bag of wind and broken this fourth wall online, I have been ignored. Most people lurk online, much less react to posts, and even less comment on them, and the fewest amount of people post occasionally, and only a rare few seem to post regularly. Lurking is safe, and nobody can criticize you if you stay on the sidelines watching. You share your opinions in real life with those you trust and love you, and you get to watch the show. Then, those who post get to take part in casting a shadow on the wall and seeing if the lurkers enjoy it. Although they may turn around and ask you, who the do you think you are to be holding a shadow, blocking their precious light? You're doing it all wrong. Why is social media even such a big deal that I feel compelled to take a break, and why would taking a break be significant enough to talk about it in this format? It's just me, and I don't know. I'm experimenting. I fast sometimes. I don't eat food for 48 hours, and whenever I break my fast, I come back to eating with a refreshed sense of my relationship with food and eating. And I have this same sense now, but with social media. But I must confess, I'm usually back to my previous eating habits within a week or two. So I'm nervous about my return. I have before moved my bed closer to the wall to accommodate the charging cable. I have leaned over the edge of my bed to look at nothing specific or important. Sometimes for hours and hours I stare at it, eventually putting it down only to reflect on the past day and the coming days for a few precious moments. If I don't fall asleep right away, I'll look at it again for a few more minutes, looking for something that never seems to show up, but everything keeps my interest enough to keep looking for it, only to pick it back up immediately upon waking. I've since gotten a sunrise alarm, and must say, Having an alarm clock that doesn't put the phone in your hand is a pleasant adjustment. I can't shake the habits, though, of reading and writing. It's just instead of reading posts, I read books. Instead of writing comments on NPR's Instagram posts, I could edit my forthcoming memoir, Hocus Focus, Coming of Age with ADD and Its Medicines, now available for pre-order. Check the links in the description for more information. While I could slither away from scrolling neurodivergent house cleaning hacks on TikTok, I couldn't escape interacting with language. As if I didn't have enough going on in my life, I finished reading Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Literature became methadone for my media addiction. I am, by nature, looking for stimulation. Next time, maybe I'll go a week without reading anything. It had been about a year since I opened Infinite Jest, and I was halfway through it. I caught up to where I was with online summaries and got back into it. I'm really grateful for all the people who discuss it online. I would have felt all alone without you folk. I wasn't reading this book alone. I had all these people on YouTube to read with me. I kept YouTube. I didn't consider it a scrolling app, but it is, and I definitely used it to satisfy my digital urge. It surprised me how relevant Infinite Jest themes were to my considerations with my phone addiction. I quickly immersed, reading in the morning, before bed, during coffee, during lunch, and other leisure opportunities, just like I previously had with my phone. Whenever you read a book by anyone, you're microdosing their mind. The point of books is to combat loneliness. A portion of the novel is centered on a piece of media so captivating that viewers can't look away at anything else. Have you ever noticed that you don't tire of looking at your phone? It's easy. It's a casual way to interface with the world, with lying on your back, chin to chest, the blue light through your pupils, zeros and ones, putting on a show, keeping you in the loop. Notify, respond, urgent. Look at this cat. We heard you talking about a wet bathroom. Buy this floor mat. If to stay interested you need to hear that all is well, you will. If you need to hear that things have never been worse, so be it. The phone reads you for what you desire, and it's getting very accurate. The tumbleweed of an errant thought brought about by the mind simply being born and existing inside. I could probably stand to testify to silence more often. Break from the absorbing and wringing out of the verbal and visual sponge I carry within my cranial cavity. The root of my phone addiction is the need for constant mental stimulation, entertainment, information, and a sense of community, even if only in digital shadow puppetry. I don't think any of this is uniquely uncommon. I've been watching a screen my entire life. Books have their advantages. They take longer. I did notice without the interruptions of concept and subject that a diverse social media feeds provides, I had questions that went deeper into my own life, its happening, as well as considerations of the text I was reading in my spare moments while driving, brushing my teeth, or staring at the wall. Another unspoken rule I noticed online as I plundered into the wealth of commentary of Infinite Jest is you must complain of footnotes. You have to footnote your own work by saying you're aware of David Foster Wallace's missteps and abusive, erratic, and odd behavior, and you do not endorse that behavior, but you had to read this book. The book is peppered with racist, sexist language and perspectives. He was not the narrator, but created them, and he did not make excuses for his work. The internet, and consequently the phone that accesses it beyond anything else, serves to perpetually footnote everything. Reactions to reactions to reactions to reactions.
So today I'm reacting to...
I thought of reacting within this piece to a particular individual who expressed gratitude for the death of David Foster Wallace. But I will say this. David Foster Wallace took his own life. The act has to be footnoted from my point of view with the fact that he was withdrawing for some medications that caused such behavior in their withdrawals. If you've read his book, it was clearly something that was on his mind. A lot. He couldn't stand the heat. He got out of the kitchen. The kitchen can get hot. You can learn to embrace the burn. Stay in the kitchen. We want you to cook. For someone to celebrate his departure, it's a disrespect for all folks in the hot kitchen. People can evolve, grow, and get better. We're all works in progress, and just stay in the kitchen. I confess with no irony of defense that I enjoyed reading it. I'm an easy audience. I try to like things when I can. The writing was begging for my interest, and I had to know. I had to read. Once things finally started to make sense, it was exciting and even fun. He was mad for writing this piece, and at certain points in the tome, I was mad at him for his grotesque details of heinous acts. This book is not for everyone. I was legitimately pissed off. I'm not reviewing it, but I would say, if you really want to throw in a personal element to your reading of the colossal work of Infinite Jest, quit social media while you read it. While the book's world was lingering in my mind, I couldn't help but see all media, advertisements, and content as some sort of parody of itself. None of it really feeling genuine. Even things like this video I'm making, a meandering, self-aware, self-indulgent piece of content that I've made here, seems... I get hung up on challenges. Challenges like quitting Instagram until I finish reading Infinite Jest and not returning until I write about a blog about it, and then turning that blog into a video. What even is a footnote? It's described as an ancillary piece of information printed at the bottom of a page. David Foster Wallace's footnotes in Infinite Jest are interruptions. The narrative gets so strong, and sometimes a footnote pops up that could have either been a parenthetical in the manuscript or a chapter of its own. Or it's like commentary, right? That's dumb. The interrupting footnotes remind me of how I use my phone. I see a movie, a picture, I hear about a thing, nice example. And I look it up on my phone for more information, little asides and fun facts and deeper dives and rabbit holes to follow. Comments on posts are a form of group footnoting, a public forum for actuallys and whatabouts. We all know these phones aren't the best things for our mental health. It was not predicted that the seemingly whole collection of information in our hands would screw us up so much. We didn't expect that so much of it would involve our own personal interfacing with it. The opinions of others, pummeled into our consciousness in varying dosages all day into the nooks and crannies of our waning focus, reminding us of our weaknesses, forcing us to have an opinion on things that objectively don't matter, sowing high vibrations of cognitive dissonance, hopefully leading to an eventual online purchase or complete defabrication of society at large. It's like an alternate reality. The shadows on the wall, our internet selves and our in-real-life selves appear as separate entities with separate businesses. The digital self being cast into the actual self, I think much like that of the puppet in the cave of the philosopher. I only know through its repeated reference in society. I can get a sense of what casts that digital shadow by looking at it. And I can't touch it. Only through my shadow can I interact with the other projections. Yes, this is media. Yes, I created it. And yes, it's talking about media, and yes, you are consuming it. Podcasts, social media, group chats are places where the meme of the day is shared, talked about, disseminated, celebrated, criticized, analyzed, meta-analyzed, recreated, recaptioned for your niche, and so on, and on, and on. Reacting to the reaction again and again until the action is a calm center surrounded by ripples. Less media, fewer dots, easier time drawing connections. You can hear your thoughts when words aren't constantly spoken into your head from this and that and the other. Fewer forces that beg to borrow a lent ear. Having a political opinion is unpaid labor. Listening to both sides is insane. Because, well, if they weren't wrong, they'd believe what I believe, right? And it's so hard to deal with all the people who've been deluded by this media entertainment into believing the wrong thing, right? It's unhealthy and unfortunate that they don't consume the correct memes, as you and I have, right? I know we're right? And isn't it so hard to be correct in a world? Isn't it so hard? And isn't it so hard to be correct in a world of wrongness? It's isolating to feel like you're the only one who knows what's really happening. I am the arbiter of truth in my reality, right? So if it comes to me, I agree with it, and then it's true, I double tap and I ask for more, right? I'm enjoying my absence from the inescapable politics associated with the viewing of the infinite scroll. I feel like the phone gives you answers without questions, rapid-fire delivery causing overwhelm and taking away from that silent pause of the day in the mind. Reading one book at a time allows for one idea or story to really steep into the mind rather than 1,000 ideas peppered in and dissolved. It all comes down to time and how we use ours. I have problems in my life to solve unrelated to my relationship to my phone, writing, and reading. As I transferred my writing from posts and comments and books and blogs, I noticed that I am using the same urge for distraction through a different outlet. This will have to be explored at a later time. The entertainment is in our hands. It and ourselves mutually consume each other. It consumes the data we willingly deposit in exchange for entertainment. I get to watch things in the world go on from the palm of my hand, fire up mirror neurons, and allow the simulated experience to satisfy my need for adventure, understanding, purpose, beauty, and love. Take it away, and we are prone, staring at our hands. I'm already almost through the Odyssey, and what is a healthy and productive way to interface with social media? So I'm nervous about my return. Challenges like quitting Instagram until I finish reading Infinite Jest and not returning until I write about a blog about it, and then turning that blog into a video. Like that of the puppet in the cave of the philosopher, I only know through its repeated reference in society. He's talking about the allegory of the cave. It's 9 pages. If you got the penguin version like this one, it's on page 240. Imagine that there's a cave and there's all these people there and they only see the shadows on the wall. They're chained up, they can only see this wall, and they can only see the shadows on the wall, and something's casting it. And the question, it's like, would they believe that's reality? Yes, they would. If someone could break out of the situation where they're stuck looking at the wall, and then they could look at the sun's eyes would really hurt their eyes, and they would have to take their time to kind of get used to light. The person would then turn to the sun. There might be a power dynamic to him and the old prisoners in the cave because he has some kind of wisdom about things, but then he realizes that like his eyes don't work at the cave as good, so now going to the upper world has tarnished his ability to live within, like, if he wants to go home, so to speak, to the cave, he can't. This part's kind of cool. Plato like checks in with the guy that he's reading to be like, yo, you know what I'm saying, right? So how does he phrase it? It won't be surprising that those who get so far are unwilling to involve themselves in human affairs, and their minds long remain to be in the realm above. So it's saying, like, not getting distracted by the shadows on the wall, but ascending to some kind of higher consciousness by doing so. And then he even says on the other direction, you wouldn't understand that anyone who descends from contemplation of the divine to human life and its ills should blunder and make a fool of himself. And that eyes, when they see bright to dark and when they see dark to bright, they're in a state of change. That's when things are blinding, is that adjustment period. When he looks at people who are confused, he's like, oh, is that like a dumb person in a smart land or a smart person in a dumb land? It's kind of judgmental, but whatever. I actually like the words he used instead of smart and dumber. He says, clearer world. When you quit your phone, there's a certain feeling, there's a certain blindness that occurs as you adjust. And you just adjust, easy. And same like thing when I brought my phone back, there was a period where I was kind of like, but I'd say with the phone, I slipped in. With the books, I worked hard. With the phone, I slipped in, just slipped on it. How changing your mind, is a full body experience. He talks about how we don't know how we can be governed by people who are either stupid, no knowledge of the truth, or if we're supposed to be led by purely intellectual people who have never actually done anything but kind of talk to each other. He talks about the people who leave the cave being entitled to govern the people in the lower of the cave. The best way to run a country, I think, I'm not maybe interpreting this totally wrong, is to go in with the shadow world people and blend in with them and learn to see in the dark, and that having been from the outside, your eyes will be awesome when you get in there and you know what a shadow is, and with that knowledge you can govern the inner cave tranquil, because you're not excited, I think. It says, with least enthusiasm is bound to have the best and most tranquil government. So, just taking it easy as a government and not trying to exert all that power on someone who feels powerless, because people on the outside of the cave are powerful, people on the inside of the cave are powerless to the shadows and manipulation, and they're chained up, they have no freedom. And it's like the phones too, because is there any life except that of true philosophy which looks down on positions of political power? It is the only men to get power should be men who do not love it, otherwise we should have rivals and quarrels. That's certain. Who else, then, will you compel to undertake the responsibilities of guardians of our state, if it is not to be those who know most about the principles of good government and who have other rewards and better life than the politicians? There's no one else.
There. It's done.